Welcome to the Bible in a Year with Life Through Grace. I am your host, Rachel, and I'm so happy that you're joining me on this journey of a Bible in a Year. Welcome to day 26 of our Bible in a Year. We are in the book of Genesis, deep into the story of Jacob. Today we'll be reading chapters 30 and 31 and learning more about our history, the beginning of the Israelite people. So in case you didn't already know that, that is where we're going with the Abrahamic covenant. That's what it is. It's God promising numerous descendants through Abraham, which we'll see is the people of Israel. So before we get into it, let's just talk about where we left off yesterday because we're going to roll right back into it today. We left off with Jacob marrying Leah and Rachel, but he had a preference for Rachel. And we read yesterday that the Lord saw that Leah was neglected, so he opened Leah's womb, but not Rachel's. And so we saw that Leah gave birth to 4 sons already for Jacob. And so that's where we left off, and that's where we're going to pick right back up. So let's get started. The book of Genesis, chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she envied her sister. "Give me sons, or I will die," she said to Jacob. Jacob became angry with Rachel and said, "Am I in the place of God? He has withheld offspring from you." Then she said, "Here is my maid Bilhah. Go sleep with her, and she'll bear children for me, so that through her I too can build a family." So Rachel gave her slave Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and he slept with her. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. Yes, he has heard me and given me a son." So she named him Dan. Rachel's slave Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "In my wrestlings with God, I have wrestled with my sister and won." And she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her slave Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's slave Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune!" And she named him Gad. When Leah's slave Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, Leah said, "I am happy that the women call me happy." So she named him Asher. Reuben went out during the wheat harvest and found some mandrakes in the field. When he brought them to his mother Leah, Rachel asked, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But Leah replied to her, "Isn't it enough that you have taken my husband? Now you also want to take my son's mandrakes?" "Well then," Rachel said, "he can sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came in from the field that evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come with me, for I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So Jacob slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a 5th son. Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my slave to my husband." And she named him Issachar. Then Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a 6th son. "God has given me a good gift," Leah said. "This time my husband will honor me because I have borne 6 sons for him." And she named him Zebulun. Later, Leah bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son, and she said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph and said, "May the Lord add another son to me." Jacob's flocks multiply. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so that I can return to my homeland. Give me my wives and my children that I have worked for, and let me go. You know how hard I have worked for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor with you, stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." Then Laban said, "Name your wages, and I will pay them." So Jacob said to him, "You know how I have served you and how your herds have fared with me. For you had very little before I came, but now your wealth has increased. The Lord has blessed you because of me, And now, when will I also do something for my own family?" Laban asked, "What should I give you?" And Jacob said, "You don't need to give me anything. If you do this one thing for me, I will continue to shepherd and keep your flock. Let me go through all your sheep today and remove every sheep that is speckled or spotted, every dark-colored sheep among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the female goats. Such will be my wages. In the future, when you come to check on my wages, my honesty will testify for me. If I have any female goats that are not speckled or spotted, or any lambs that are not black, they will be considered stolen." "Good," said Laban. "Let it be as you have said." That day Laban removed the streaked and spotted male goats and all speckled and spotted female goats, every one that had any white on it, and every dark-colored one among the lambs, and he placed his sons in charge of them. He put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob. Jacob, meanwhile, was shepherding the rest of Laban's flock. Jacob then took branches of fresh poplar, almond, and plane wood, and peeled the bark, exposing white stripes on the branches. He set the peeled branches in the troughs in front of the sheep, in the water channels where the sheep came to drink, and the sheep bred when they came to drink. The flocks bred in front of the branches and bore streaked, speckled, and spotted young. Jacob separated the lambs and made the flocks face the streaked sheep and the completely dark sheep in Laban's flocks. Then he set his own stock apart and didn't put them with Laban's sheep. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob placed the branches in the troughs in full view of the flocks, and they would breed in front of the branches. As for the weaklings of the flocks, he did not put out the branches. So it turned out that the weak sheep belonged to Laban and the stronger ones to Jacob. And the man became very rich. He had many flock, female and male slaves, and camels and donkeys. Chapter 31. Jacob separates from Laban. Now Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken all that was our father's, and has built this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob saw from Laban's face that his attitude toward him was not the same as before. The Lord said to him, "Go back to the land of your ancestors and to your family, and I will be with you." Jacob had Rachel and Leah called to the field where his flocks were. He said to them, "I can see from your father's face that his attitude towards me is not the same as before. But the God of my father has been with me. You know that with all my strength I have served your father, and that he has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But God has not let him harm me. If he said, 'The spotted sheep will be your wages,' then all the sheep were born spotted. If he said, 'The streaked sheep will be your wages,' then all the sheep were born streaked. God has taken away your father's herds and given them to me." When the flocks were breeding, I saw in a dream that the streaked, spotted, and speckled males were mating with the females. In that dream, the angel of God said to me, "Jacob." And I said, "Here I am." And he said, "Look up and see. All the males that are mating with the flocks are streaked, spotted, and speckled. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you poured oil on the stone marker and made a solemn vow to me. Get up, leave this land, and return to your native land." Then Rachel and Leah answered him, "Do we have any portion or inheritance in our father's family? Are we not regarded by him as outsiders? For he has sold us and has certainly spent our purchase price. In fact, all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us and to our children. So do whatever God has said to you." So Jacob got up and put his children and wives on the camels. He took all the livestock and possessions he had acquired in Padan-aram and drove his herds to go to the land of Canaan, to his father Isaac. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household idols. And Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean, not telling him that he was fleeing. He fled with all his possessions, crossed the Euphrates, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. Laban overtakes Jacob. On the 3rd day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. So he took his relatives with him, pursued Jacob for 7 days, and overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night. "Watch yourself," God warned him. "Don't say anything to Jacob. either good or bad. When Laban overtook Jacob, Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban and his relatives also pitched their tents in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You have deceived me and taken my daughters away like prisoners of war. Why did you secretly flee from me, deceive me, and not tell me? I would have sent you away with joy and singing, with tambourines and lyres, but you didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters. You have acted foolishly. I could do you great harm. But last night, the God of your father said to me, 'Watch yourself, don't say anything to Jacob, good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long for your father's family, but why have you stolen my gods?" Jacob answered, "I was afraid, for I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. If you find your gods with anyone here, he will not live. Before our relatives, point out anything that is yours and take it." Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the idols. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, Leah's tent, and the tents of the two concubines, but he found nothing. When he left Leah's tent, he went into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken Laban's household idols, put them in the saddlebag of the camel, and sat on them. Laban searched the whole tent, but found nothing. She said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I am having my period." So Laban searched, but could not find the household idols. Jacob's covenant with Laban. Then Laban came incensed and brought charges against Laban. "What is my crime?" he said to Laban. "What is my sin that you have pursued me? You've searched all my possessions. Have you found anything of yours? Put it here before my relatives and yours, and let them decide between the two of us. I have been with you these 20 years. Your ewes and female goats have not miscarried, and I have not eaten the rams from your flock. I did not bring you any of the flock torn by wild beasts. I myself bore the loss. You demanded payment from me for what was stolen by day or by night. There I was. The heat consumed me by day and the frost by night, and slept fled from my eyes. For 20 years in your household I served you, 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks. And you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, certainly now you would have sent me off empty-handed. But God has seen my affliction and my hard work, and he issued his verdict last night." Then Laban answered Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, the children my children, the flocks my flocks. Everything you see is mine. But what can I do today for these daughters of mine or for the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I. Let it be witness between the two of us." So Jacob picked out a stone and set it up as a marker. Then Jacob said to his relatives, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a mound, then ate there by the mound. Laban named the mound Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob named it Gilead. Then Laban said, "This mound is a witness between you and me today." Therefore the place was called Gilead, and also Mizpah, for he said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters or take other wives, though no one is with us, understand that God will be a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Look at this mound and the marker I have set up between you and me. This mound is a witness, and the marker is a witness that I will not pass beyond this mound to you, and you will not pass beyond this mound and this marker to do me harm. The God of Abraham and the gods of Nahor, the gods of their father, will judge between us." And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his relatives to eat a meal. So they ate a meal and spent the night on the mountain. Laban got up early in the morning, kissed his grandchildren and daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban left to return home. Dear God, thank you. Thanks again for another day, being blessed enough to read your word. Thank you for this opportunity to spend time with you. Thank you for allowing me to create this podcast. Thank you for the people who have opened their hearts to listen to it and learn more about you. God, may you always guide my words, guide my thoughts, guide what I speak, and may it reach the people in a way that they can understand it and they can apply it to their lives. and feel the transformation that comes from learning about you and getting closer to you and reading your word. I want to say that I love you. We love you and we praise your name. I pray all of this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So again, we see a pattern, right? We just saw Sarah a few days ago give her servant to Abraham in order to have kids through her. And now we see Rachel doing the exact same thing. Only difference I see is that Sarah actually got mad when Hagar ended up pregnant, whereas Rachel is happy and excited and thanking the Lord. Either way, we still see a contention between both wives. Like we saw it with Abraham, we saw contention between Sarah and Hagar. We are seeing it between Rachel and Leah now too. And there's probably another layer of aggravation or annoyance with the fact that it's their own, like their sisters. So it's like they've been put against each other, almost like in a competition to who can be the better wife, who can bear the most sons. But all these sons that are being born are very important, key figures that are going to birth the 12 tribes of Israel that we're going to learn about as we continue reading. But I wanted to give you guys that heads up so you guys can look at it through that lens and kind of carry that knowledge throughout the following chapters that we're going to read. We haven't read through all of their kids yet, their sons, but we've read through most of them. And so all these names are going to be names that we're going to get very familiar with. But I wanted to touch base on Rachel and talk about her moment when she finally was able to get pregnant and give birth. I want to read a note that my Bible has that kind of summarizes really well this contention between Rachel and her sister, Leah, and then just a little bit more insight as to how God moved with her. So it says, unloved or childless, favored or fertile, Jacob's wives both walked through decades of hurt and resentment, comparison and competition. Rachel, desperate to conceive, even offered Leah a night with Jacob in exchange for a few mandrakes, a root thought to promote fertility. But God gave Leah another child, not Rachel. 3 more, actually, 2 sons and a daughter. The mandrakes didn't have the power to give Rachel what she wanted, and so she felt forgotten and worthless. So I don't know if you remember, but in chapter 30, we saw that Leah's son, Reuben, went out during the wheat harvest and found some mandrakes in the field. And so, like we just read, mandrakes was a root that was thought to help increase fertility, to help women get pregnant. And so Rachel asked Leah, can I have some of Reuben's mandrakes? And Leah was like, no, absolutely not. You took my husband. Why would I give you my son's mandrakes? And so Rachel was like, okay, how about you get a night with Jacob in exchange for some mandrakes? And so Leah was like, okay, fine. But Rachel gets these mandrakes and she still doesn't get pregnant. Leah gets pregnant 3 times. She gives birth 3 times before Rachel gets pregnant. That's over, like, I want to say 2 years between getting pregnant, the 10 months of being pregnant, giving birth, and then getting pregnant again. Like, that's a long time. And here we are, like, thinking that the mandrakes are going to do something. And look, I am all for doing things to help ourselves. Sometimes God uses those things to give out his blessing. But at the end of the day, his favor and the blessing will never be found in things that you do. So her taking the mandrakes wasn't going to bear her a child unless God wanted it to. We do have to remember the culture. Again, we have to see this through the lens of their lifestyle. And again, back in the day, the women, what they were made to do, quote unquote, what their main purpose was to have children. So for a woman to not be able to bear a child was a disgrace. Later we see when Rachel finally gives birth, she says, God has taken away my disgrace. So again, like thinking about all of this time that she's going barren, it messes with your head. And it makes you think that God was being either mean or he had forgotten about Rachel, but that is not the case. I'm going to read another note that my Bible says. It says, had God ever forsaken Rachel? No. He treasured her all along. Her worth in his eyes had never come from her beauty or ability to bear children. Rachel's worth may have fluctuated in the eyes of her world. Rachel's worth may have fluctuated in the eyes of her world, but her true worth never changed in the eyes of her creator. And that is a reminder, guys. Maybe what we feel like we need or should be doing in this moment because society expects it from us, our own family, our friends, our coworkers, our boss, maybe even us. We have these expectations that we feel like we need to meet, but God doesn't have those regular societal expectations for you. God doesn't look at you and measure you depending on those things. God doesn't care what you look like. God doesn't care how many kids you've had. God doesn't care how successful you've been. Like, just because he's not giving you what you expect or want in this moment doesn't mean that he's forgotten about you. And it also doesn't mean that he'll never give it to you. As we've seen in the story with Sarah and with Rachel, as we've seen it with Job too, we see them suffering because they want something so bad, but it's like they expect it to be in their time. And we see them crave and yearn for something so bad that God ends up giving to them. And I don't think it's that he ends up giving it to them because they're asking for it so much, but because it was part of his plan. And yet, sometimes we just don't have the patience to wait for his time. So if we're in a season where we feel like what we've been praying for just hasn't happened, and we've been doing all of the things, we've been eating the mandrakes and doing what we got to do to try to make it happen, and we still don't see it happen, maybe it's time for us to take a step back and connect with God again so that we can lean into him and trust his timing. Let's not get so caught up on trying to check off all of these boxes that we feel like we need to check off because of society or because of our parents or because of our own timeline that we have in our head. It's great to have aspirations. It's great to have goals, and it's great to put timelines on things, but we have to also understand that we are not in control. And at the end of the day, it's God's will that we want to have unfold before us. And I think if you're listening to this podcast because you've been listening since day one and you've been here for the 26 days, that means that you are getting closer to God. You have an awareness of God. And by having that, we have even more of a responsibility to believe and trust in him because we have heard about him, because we are learning about him. And so that responsibility has to be the priority for us. The responsibility of being faithful to him, of believing in him, of living a righteous life, of, just trusting him. That responsibility is on us because we know his word. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. Honestly, I think it's a roller coaster. It's an up and down journey. It doesn't mean that we get far away from God and then get closer and then get far away. It's not that. But as human beings, we are subject to these emotions of feeling neglected or feeling defeated or feeling like we're trying so hard and something is not happening and God's not listening. And we have like these moments where things just get harder, those seasons of being in the valley, of being in the wilderness. But let's let all these stories that we've read and also are going to read, let them be an example and a reminder that God will always come through, and let it help us lean into him and rest and trust him. So we're not trying to scramble and make things happen out of our own strength. That's when we see these people in the Bible make mistakes. That's when we see them kind of be more ego driven. So we also read about Jacob and Laban, some more family drama. Honestly, if you ask me, Laban's a little cray cray. But don't we have a lot of those in our lives? That's another thing about the Bible. It's like it's really so relevant to us, even though it's written so long ago, even though culturally and politically and everything was completely different than it is now. The core messages are still the same. We still are human and we still struggle with the same internal feelings of being lonely, of being treated unfairly, of being forgotten, of not getting what we want or expect, of being manipulated, being tried. Because Laban tried Jacob. He's been trying Jacob since he tricked him with giving Leah instead of Rachel in the first place. He's a little grimy little man. And like I said, those are things that we experience in our day-to-day lives as human beings in the 21st century. It's the same. So I think that that's a really cool aspect of the Bible, is that it's written so long ago and yet it still talks to us today. It's crazy. So we saw this interaction between Jacob and Laban and how he pursues him and then basically forces him to come into an agreement on not coming after him and setting a line in the sand, basically drawing a line in the sand and saying, you're not coming over this line and I'm not coming over that line. Obviously, it's not a line in the sand. It was some stones, but you get what I mean. Like the whole concept is the same thing. But we're going to continue journeying with Jacob for the next couple days, learning more about his offspring. And we're also going to touch base again on Esau tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that. If you're interested in seeing what's coming up, you can download our reading plan. It's found on the link in our bio on our Instagram page at Life Through Grace. Go ahead and follow us on there too while you're at it. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. It's a lot of good stuff that I'm trying to put out for you guys on all of these platforms. But anyways, thank you so much for being here. Props to you for being here on day 26. Good job, girl, boy, man, woman, whoever you are. Good job. God is so proud of you. I hope you know that. He wants you to know that. But as I say every day, I got this from the podcast in a year that I listened to by Father Mike. It's a Catholic Bible in a year, but it has blessed me so much. So if you're looking for another one to listen to, you can listen to his too. They're so good. They're actually under 20 minutes, I think, or 25 minutes. So a tad bit shorter than mine, but he is so good. He's so funny. I'm trying to be as cool as him. So hopefully I am. But I really love what he says at the end of his podcasts, which is why I've been doing it at the end of all of my podcast episodes, because I am just coming into agreement with that and encouraging everyone to do that, which is pray for me as I am praying for you guys. And more importantly, pray for each other. This life isn't meant to do alone. Okay? Love you guys. See you guys tomorrow.